My name is Robert Strickland, and I will be going over the action assignment for the voice assistant. The voice assistant I used was Google Assistant. All right, and so a little bit of history and background. On May 18th, Google introduced Google Assistant, and it was used to phase out the Google Now, which was basically Google Assistant but without the voice interactions and AI. Google Assistant works across multiple devices. Google Assistant has multiple capabilities, but the main ones include it allows you to listen to music via Google Play. It allows for making phone calls hands free, checking and sending short messages vocally, for the checking and creation of daily schedules, setting alarms, searching Google, checking news and weather updates, the use of other entertainment apps specifically made by Google, and controlling other peripheral devices specifically for Android, and also controlling other devices that have Google Assistants on them already. Specifically for phones, the capabilities include managing Google tasks, calling, texting. It also has there are also entertainment capabilities, which includes YouTube Music, device manipulations, such as the ability to take pictures using your phone's camera, the use of complex data acquisition. That's basically for performing tasks such as determining a flight status or obtaining certain times at the beginning of events, when restaurants are opening and closing. Allows for Google search and also controlling other remote devices, such as IoT. The specific capabilities for vehicles includes hands-free calling, texting, entertainment, device manipulation, Google searching, and managing Google tasks. The wearable specific capabilities includes managing Google tasks, calling, texting, Google searching, and controlling other devices remotely. Extraordinary capabilities. Well, most of the capabilities for Google Assistant were, I would not call them extraordinary, but they did have neat little background capabilities. Mostly they're used for entertainment and fun. An example was Crystal Ball. Basically, you prompt it with another example was Crystal Ball. Basically, you're prompted with another example is Crystal Ball. You're prompted to think of something in your head, and it'll give you advice on what to do according to the prompt. Another is let's hear a story. I thought that this one was actually pretty neat. Basically, it allows you to go. It tells an interactive story, and as you follow along, it gives you options. It was pretty interesting. So when it came to the possibilities for this software, my idea was replacing Google Assistant's AI with that of the new Google AI called Bard. It's basically Google's ChatGPT, and that will allow it to perform more complex tasks. Second would be allowing the Google Assistant to interact with third-party applications. Currently, Google Assistant only works with Google apps and other larger apps such as Spotify and things of that nature. And my last capability that I would implement would be allowing Google Assistant to make purchases using your credit card. Uh, Basically, so that you could say, purchase me this item, and it will go about actually purchasing it for you and sending it to your house. There was one confusing thing with the Google Assistant, specifically for purchases. I found documentation saying that it could perform those activities, but when tested, it did not work at all. The Google Help Board said to say the specific item that you wanted and tell it to add it to your cart. That did not work. The interesting thing is when you follow the links in the help boards, they would not lead to actual pages related to the issue. The usefulness of the software, well, it's mostly useful for performing activities when it is inconvenient to use your hands. But the truth of the matter is, the majority of the activities will be performed faster and more efficiently if you just use the touchscreen. So I think it's most useful when you're driving. Everything else is so-so. And the testing outcomes. As you can see, the first test I did was basically simple questions. It shows that Google Assistant does read the entire log. So, for example, I asked it to do certain things, such as how many days of June 13th, and then how many hours is in that time frame. I then asked to do something completely different, and then I returned back to that same question, and it did follow along. When asking advanced questions, this is where it completely was useless. Whenever it seems that whenever it comes across a question that it does not know what to do with, it just Googles it and gives you that as a reply. I asked it if it was true that purchases can be made via Google Assistant. The reply was just a Google website. I also asked it to add things to my cart. It just gave back Walmart.com and the specific item. So the last test was advanced tasks that I asked it to carry out. I asked it to give me directions from Atlanta to Miami. It did that, and it also created a link to Google Maps. But then when I also asked it to give me back the same results, but with a gas station highlighted in Jacksonville, Florida, it just Googled exactly what I said and returned back a web page, which was not helpful. I was hoping that it would at least give me the same Google Maps reply, but also with a stop in Jacksonville, but that did not happen. And my recommendations for non-experienced users: first, quick prompts that could be basically text, and you just fill in whatever word or phrase. I think that would be helpful for non-experienced users. And also, just a quick tutorial. Um, when you initiate the software, there is no tutorial. It just throws you in there and asks you, and just tells you to start asking questions. For disabled users, my recommendations were scheduler, but for medication, refills, and to track doctor's appointments. And these are my references. Thank you for your time.